So what happens here is, and I bring that up because we have this whole concept, or this whole institution of fair trade certification, okay, where we actually have an organization that goes in and certifies that all your practices are based on fair trade principles. Okay, and you can actually, Google, I have the link here, but you can actually just Google type in fair trade labeling or fair trade certification and you can read about it. The next level is esteem, when you need to feel valued or make a difference. So one of the things we see from a marketing perspective, what we tend to do is we tend to find people that you want to associate with. So the big thing was, and I have a link there, is all this to get people to buy Priuses and to really feel like they were okay to drive. Toyota started giving them to celebrities to get them to use it. So one of the things we saw, which was a little ironic, was having Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was governor, got a Toyota Prius. Now, you know, what's Arnold Schwarzenegger famous for in terms of his cars? The Hummer. Okay, he was the first, and the reason we had a Hummer was because of him. He went to GM and said, I want a Hummer for myself, and the Hummer used to be a military vehicle. Okay, so we got the Hummer, and it went into production. Of course, I'm not sure it's there anymore, but it went into production because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So isn't it a little ironic now that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the one who went out there and he bought a Prius, started driving it around when he was governor, and it became his car of choice. And then you have all sorts of other celebrities, and if you click on that link, you'll see all the different celebrities that went through and did that. And what they're basically, what marketers are basically trying to do there is make people feel that you, by buying a Prius or by buying a product, you're associating yourself with everything around that product and what it means. Okay? So, and self-actualization, that's a very top of the pyramid, which means bringing efforts, accomplishments, and personal growth in line with your deepest values. And when I talk about this in a marketing class, I always link it to like Mother Teresa. You see someone like Mother Teresa who goes around and she did so much good, especially in India, for no other return except knowing that this was very important to her deepest values. How she defined herself. And there's many people in this world like this. You think about people like Nelson Mandela. Okay, why did he do what he did? Because it was part of his inner values. He did it because it was so important, and there was just no concept of doing it any other way. Okay, and that's when we talk about self-actualization and some of the ways. And I'm not saying this to equate this to Mother Teresa or Nelson Mandela, okay? But I'm just trying to give you examples of what marketing tries to do in terms of getting at that feeling. We have Sierra Club outings, which are basically getting into ecotourism. Ecotourism has become really big now. And you're seeing ecotourism in a lot of developing countries, okay? In Costa Rica, we have a lot of companies that have gone, not a lot of companies, we've had companies that have gone in there to develop ecotourism, which the idea is you're teaching people about the environment, you're not hurting the environment, and people are going in there and they don't expect to go in there and find a big luxury hotel using all this electricity and all this stuff. You're actually living in communities, you're part of the community, that kind of thing, and you're learning more about that area, that part of the world, through interacting with it on the same level as the community, okay? Globalware is another one. They refer to it as sort of a mini Peace Corps. It's a week-long volunteer vacation. And actually, our university does this. I think they're putting out applications for next year. They're asking faculty to lead for spring break. It's like an alternative spring break, and they're asking faculty to lead students on this kind of sort of volunteer vacation. So instead of going to, well, we're going to Kauai. So instead of going to Kauai next year, maybe we should lead, you know, a group of students who are willing to give up their spring break to Costa Rica to learn more about the environment, the ecology, and everything in Costa Rica. That kind of thing. So this is another example, and the university does this. In my field, we have what's called transformative consumer research that I'm heavily involved in. And Dr. Toossi brought up this idea, well, he talked about, like, I do research in addiction, that kind of thing. So some of the stuff I look at is the idea of abuse. How do we abuse the environment? How do we abuse what we do, the way we consume products, that kind of thing? And how does it lead to maladaptive or addictive behaviors? Okay, so making decisions. When we need to make a decision, we go through a process. We don't just go, I need something, I'm going to buy it. So in marketing, what we need to do is we need to understand at what point are people at in this process. Are people saying, I need something? Going back to the need, we talked about Maslow's hierarchy and all that. Do people need something? If they decide, yes, I need something, then how do they find out about it? So I need a vacation. How am I going to find out about the kind of vacation I'm going to take? Where would I go? Google. Okay, Google. What could I Google? If I'm a green consumer, what could I Google? What would you Google? If you had to show Dr. Toossi that you're a green, sustainable consumer, and that was part of your, how you get through this class, what would you do? What would you Google?
Green consumer vacation.
Pardon?
Green consumer vacation.
Green consumer vacations, ecotourism, something like that, right? And you learn more about it. So what happens when you Google that? It's the only thing that's going to come up, Costa Rica? What's going to come up?
7,000 results.
Maybe 27,000. So then you're going to have to sit there and go, how do I determine which one I want to go on? So how do you determine which one you want to go on? How would you determine what of the 27,000, or let's make it a little bit more manageable. Let's say you decided that you can only afford to go to some place within, let's say, 1,000 miles of Southern California. So now you've limited geographically, right? So now, let's say 10 companies have come up. What are you going to do? How are you going to determine what your final purchase is going to be, or choice? How are you going to do that?
Cheapest one.
You're going to what?
Cheapest one.
The cheapest one. So then you start looking at which is the one I can afford, the cheapest one. Is that the only criteria you might use? What could be some other criteria?
You decide which cultures you like best, go north or south.
Okay, do you want to go north? Do you want to go south? Anything else?
I would look at the reviews.
Oh, okay. You might look at the reviews, like people who have been there, what do they say, that kind of thing. Okay, anything else? Remember, we're green consumers. I'm waiting for green.
How are you going to get there? Transportation?
Okay, how are you going to get there? Okay.
How is the trip sustainable?
Okay, how is a trip sustainable? How is it green? It claims to be ecotourism, but how is it green? Okay, do all companies that say they're green, are they really green?
If they say it on the internet,
This is cynicism. This is cynicism. You've heard of greenwashing, right? Okay, greenwashing, where you say, oh, I'm green. Put it on your label of your product. I'm a green product. I'm a sustainable product. It doesn't always mean they are. Okay? So one of the things you want to do when you're evaluating alternatives is you really want to figure out, is this really a green product? Is this really ecotourism? Is this really a product or a service that is going to fit with my, whatever you want to call them, my values, my needs, my wants, whatever it is, to be green? Okay? So then once you've gone through that, you picked what you want, you buy it, you go there, then you come back, and you decide, was it really green? Was it really the experience that I wanted? Did I learn what I wanted to learn from this? So you need to do that. It's sort of called post-purchase evaluation. Okay? Are you always satisfied with what you, after you consumed, bought a product and consumed it, are you always satisfied? Sometimes you're not. What do you do when you're not?
Return it if you can.
You what?
Return it if you can.
Return it if you can. What's something you could do if you went on this ecotourism vacation, and then you come back and you go, you know, there were some things I really